Hello everybody and welcome to this Certero webinar. Today we're going to be looking at Oracle Java licensing again, and in particular the release of version 21 and of course the implications of just what will become chargeable and when. With us today is my colleague Paul Johnson. He's one of our resident Oracle licensing subject matter experts. So please, this is an interactive session, so if you do have any questions at all, please feel free to just drop your questions into the chat, and Paul will be able to take a look at those and answer any queries that you have at the end of the session. So thanks very much.
So just to have a look at the principles, there are three different licensing models. The first one is called the binary code license, BCL as it's known, and predominantly that was before April 2019. In essence, what it meant was for general purpose usage, you would not need to pay where it was supporting internal business operations. And what we found was sort of 95% plus of customers would not need a license prior to April 2019. Since October 2018, so it's a bit of a 6-month rollover here, Oracle then moved from the binary code license to the OTN license, the Oracle Technology Developer Network Developer license. And basically what this did was to say, if you are using the software for development purposes, then you do not need to pay. However, when you then go and use it in production, you would need to pay. And this affected versions 5, 6, 7, and 8, which predominantly a lot of customers are still using version 8. And at that time, the version 11 through to 16. The third one that came in September 2021 was the Oracle no fees. And for the people who have worked on Oracle before and you think no fee terms, Oracle don't give anything away for free. So when this came up, we knew there was going to be some nuances that would be effective to customers, and therefore, part of the reason why we're having this discussion this afternoon. But basically what they did was they took Oracle JDK 17 and the later releases, and they said you can use it for free, even in commercial and production use, i.e. moving away from the old OTN basis, on the condition that you went up to these versions. So predominantly binary code license and the no fees are very, very similar in that the majority of customers who use Java, so long as they are using it for internal business operations, would not need to pay. Now, these three license agreements have not changed. What's happened is certain versions will drop into one of these licensing models, but there was quite a bit of noise at the beginning of the year where everyone thought Oracle had changed the licensing models or the licensing terms, and that's not the case. It is how you buy it that's changed, and I'll come on to that later. So just to recap, there are three different licensing models. The two on the left, if you're using those versions, predominantly will not give you any grief. The one on the right, the Oracle Technology Network, that is actually the one where if you use it in production, and the production includes DR as well as end user compute, then at the end of the day, Oracle are looking for you to buy a license. So as I say, version 5 to 8, depending on the update, would use BCL and OTN. So what happened there was, as example, version 8, update 2.1.1 and above, i.e. after April 2019, would be on the OTN, and the ones preceding it were on BCL. So you actually have one version that's using two models, and this is what's going to happen to version 17 over the next 1 year. So you show here version 11, 17, and 21, and any future long-term supported versions will be running on NFTC or OTN. For version 11, it is OTN only, so it doesn't matter where you use it, you have to pay for it. But basically for 17, 21, and in 2 years' time, 25, the same principles are going to come. So as you look now at what do I need to do in order to continue to use Java free, this exercise is going to be having to be carried out every 2 years, depending on how you upgrade. So what makes Oracle chargeable? Commercial use. So if you do use it for commercial purposes and you included it in a product you're selling, you may need to obtain a license from Oracle. Embedded use, where you actually embed Java into a product, again, there's a good chance you may have to pay for it. Third one here is commercial features. So things like mission control, which are additional features that you can use. Oracle, under certain circumstances, will charge for that. Bundled patch releases, as it's got on the fourth one here, is another one where the patch was really for developers to make sure things worked. So any of these four could actually mean that when you start with not having to pay Oracle, any of these four could mean you have to now start paying Oracle. And this is something that's caught a few people out. Oracle no fees terms and conditions. It permits all the users to even commercial and production use. So what we tend to find is now on the version 17 and above, you are less likely to have to pay Oracle anything, because more and more of these four options I've shown you are now beginning to be included. Just to show you a journey of Java over the last 28 years, and where's Oracle really taking this? Sun Microsystems developed it in 1999, very quiet. It was all under general public license. And I think really Sun, being a hardware company, had this bit of software, didn't know what to do with it, and therefore didn't really want to make any money. 2010, and Oracle acquired Sun, and then they changed from the general public license to the BCL license, which, as I said earlier, predominantly means it was free of charge to customers. 2018, they made it more permissive because things were moving forward, so they wanted people using Java. 2019 is where it all changed, because they introduced the 010 license to Java, and this is where customers suddenly would have to start paying for versions which predominantly they'd never paid for in the past. 2021, and they introduced the no fees license, so it sort of goes back towards the BCL, as I indicated earlier. I think they'd sort of realized between 2019 and 2020 a lot of people were moving away to OpenJDK, and with that they were losing the chance for revenue. So it was more, right, we want to keep you here, so we'll make it no fees. And then the other big thing that happened was the way they altered the subscription licensing model and how you buy it, which moved to the employee-based subscription. And this is something we'll come back to shortly, because this is how you pay. Okay, so how does Oracle charge for Java? There is 3 different purchasing models, of which this first one I'm showing you here, the perpetual license model, was in place up before 2018. So they had 2 models, Processor and NUP, the Named User Plus. And for the ones of you who've worked with Oracle Database, predominantly it was exactly the same as database licensing. The only difference was you didn't have to pay for the development environment once the production went live. But what this predominantly allowed was the customer to keep control. They would work out what licenses they require, and then they would go to Oracle and tell them the quantities they wanted, which wasn't always accurate because of how they were measuring it, but it was the way that Oracle worked. What they did was they moved from perpetual model to the Java subscription. The principle is exactly the same, so the customer still told Oracle what license quantities were required, but this was on an annual subscription model. And I think they sort of did that because the cost of the perpetual license was being an upfront cost, may have put customers off, so Oracle went down this road. Do I think they got a lot of revenue from it? No, because people didn't see Oracle coming knocking on the door, and whatever you did tell Oracle, then at the end of the day they would have to believe you. And then on the 23rd of January this year, the world changed forever when it comes to Oracle. And rather than the customer telling Oracle what they would like, Oracle now alters to this universal subscription. And the difference here is you do not pay based upon the machines that have Java installed. What you're doing is paying for the employees, not based on who does use Java, but who could use Java. So you may have 5,000 employees, of which you know only 1,000 use it. Oracle say, don't care, you pay for all 5,000. And what this allowed Oracle to do was not having to worry about audits too much for customers who hadn't paid for anything. But at the end of the day, they could just do a bit of research on the internet and turn around and say, we can see you've got 5,000 employees. We know that you're downloading Java, so here's a bill. And this is the way that they seem to be going. From September 23, customers of the legacy system, i.e. the one on the right-hand side of the screen, may to the extent permitted in their existing order, renew their legacy Java subscription. Now, this is a bit of tightening up on the words, and what Oracle's basically saying is if you do already have an existing contract or agreement that was under the original Java SE subscription, you may continue it, but we want to verify your numbers. And this is catching some customers out at the moment because they haven't got stuff haven't got process in place to be able to demonstrate to Oracle that send the auditors in if you want to, but we have got factual evidence of why we want to continue. And we're already hearing this year that Oracle's sort of going, well, if you want to do this, we're going to come in and audit you, and it's put a concern on some of the customers, so they're getting sort of pushed down the universal subscription route when sometimes they don't need to. So just to look at the different licensing models there, so used up until 2019, as I said, they were perpetual. Please remember that Oracle's basis of this was if you have any perpetual licenses, you have them all on maintenance, all off. So at the end of the day, that did affect quite a few people. Then we have the subscription model, as I explained earlier on. Basically, it was exactly the same on the processor and NUB. And then in came the employee-based. One thing to remember is Oracle Java does use dial home technology. So when you install it, it does actually, like Windows, go back and ask whether or not it's a newer version, and Oracle know that what versions are asking. Also, when you download it, it's often having to log into an Oracle account that will be relevant to your email address. So they do actually understand who has downloaded licenses, etc. I look at this subscription model as basically being an unlimited license agreement because it covers all your employees, not just your internal ones, but also external. And as I said earlier, if you are expecting to try and stay on the old subscription model, then Oracle are expecting confirmation, and a verified third-party tool vendors, of which there's 8, and Certero is one of them, can perform the audit in order to give you that information to be able to prove to Oracle why the numbers we've submitted are correct. And we find that Oracle don't normally go against the information being given by one of the verified third parties. So as you can see here, how you pay has changed, but the licensing models themselves have not changed, just merely the way you buy the licenses. Okay, so just understanding the long-term supported versions. So there are 2 different types, long-term supported or what they call non-long-term supported. And the non-long-term supported are normally only relevant for about 6 months. So this session is going to talk about version 17 and version 21 and the implications. So hopefully you've now got a bit of an understanding or refresher on the way the licenses work. So version 17 came in 2021, no fees, thank you very much. And if you move from, say, version 8, where you may have had to pay, straight to version 17, you got rid of having to pay Oracle anything, so you can continue. However, Oracle do not want you to stay on version 17. And what they're going to do is the principle of saying the earlier updates, like they did with version 8, you will not have to pay because it's on NFTC. However, if you want to stay on version 17 and have the later updates, you're going to have to start paying for it. And this is why today it's important for you to understand you now have until September next year to look at what you have on version 17 and whether or not you can or cannot go up to version 21. If you can, then you'll continue to have it free. If you can't, then you'll be frozen at update 12. But if you installed update 13, which won't be due until about October next year, then that would move you into the OTN. And looking at the universal subscription model, you only have to need 1 license, and then all your employees might need it. So just one version 17 that has been updated in 18 months time to a newer update, say 13 and above, could cause you a load of problems under audit. So you have a year's grace from when the latest long-term supported version comes out, which is 21. So customers can move from version 17 to version 21. Now, The application may not allow that, but you need to have a look at whether or not you can. And from 2024 onwards, i.e. September 2024, when update 13 comes out, if you install update 13 or above, then it'll move to OTN in production. So you need to take steps to ensure that those upgrades do not happen to later updates if you're going to stay on version 17. The support for version 17 on Premier support will go off to 2026, and it will move from Premier to Extended between 2026 and 2029. So what's the difference between Premier and Extended? Very, very similar, apart from one area where Oracle under Extended will not test Java against third-party products. At the moment, they are doing a lot of testing. And 2029 is where version 17 goes into sustaining, and basically from then onwards, you're on your own. So just some footnotes just to sort of bring it home. At the moment, I think we're on about update 9 or 10, if I remember correctly. So installing the current version 17 and the current update, no problems at all, you're under NFTC. But the minute you go to update 13, you potentially will have to pay, and that will come out, as I said, October next year. Until January 2023, customers could have purchased their entitlement under the subscription model. You can still do that if you can prove. So this is a way of, if you want to stay on 17 and have the updates, if you've already got a current subscription model in, you can continue on there. And as it says, you know, if you've already got the subscription model. Please note that Oracle are now only selling the universal subscription model. So people who have not had a subscription model in the past, Oracle will only do that on the employee based. Okay, so that just highlights version 17. Looking at what will then happen a couple of years down the line, and this principle is going to replicate itself every 2 years. So 21 has just come out and it's released under NFTC. That will continue until September 26. September 25 is where version 25 comes in. September 26 is where 25 has been in for 12 months. And then from update 13 onwards, it'll move from the NFTC to OTN. And the minute you see OTN, just put it in the back of your mind, I pay in production, that's going to cost me. The other two predominantly will not cost. And you can see here, everything is sort of moving forward, you know, as in when the Premier support ends and the extended support. Just gives you a flavor that the nuances that are now happening to 17 are going to happen to 21 in another couple of years, and then 25 and 29, they're going to continue to sort of have that model. So just to look at version 21 in detail, it's a long-term supported release. So it will be supported by Oracle for 8 years. So if you do go to version 21, then you can have the updates. But please remember that if you start updating stuff on version 21 after 3 years of it coming out, then you'd have to start paying. And the same principle now for 17 as well. Oracle only provide the free support until 2026. So when you look at any of the newer versions you're putting in, at the end of the day, you'll get the sort of 3 years where it is on free support, and then after that it does start to change if you want to stay there. So 17 and 21, and it will be 25 and 29 as well. It's checking the update is 12 or below, and it'll be under the NFTC licensing, which under normal circumstances is free. And the 17 to 21 update 13 and above will go to OTN. And this is how Oracle will obviously make the money, because people have to stay. And I think what they're looking at is a lot of people stayed on 8, and they're going, well, if they've gone to 17, they'll probably stay there as well, and we'll end up having more revenue. Bearing in mind that when you install Oracle Java, you actually do have a licensed text file that sits on there, and at the end of the day, that can be analyzed under audit terms. So looking at the roadmap, as I've said, it's good, the LTS releases come out every 2 years. So what you're seeing now between 17 and 21, this is going to be replicated every 2 years. So if you want to pay Oracle, you can stay on the latest versions and or stay where you are, no problems at all. If you don't want to pay Oracle, you've got to put some controls in place to ensure that software does not get upgraded. What I would say is, like Java version 8, if you were on the free version or the BCL, which was update 202, that's now 4.5 years old. So yes, you may not pay Oracle, but you could be having a security risk being raised at the same time. So as we say, customers stay on version 17, 21, 25, update 12 and below, and generally we no reason to pay a license. Okay. Just to highlight what will happen with 25, exactly the same principle with some of the dates, and this is just replicated accordingly. So understanding the versions, depending on what you're on, okay, I'll just bring these up. Predominantly a lot of people are on version 8, so update 211 and higher, i.e. from April 2019, and you will have already had to be paying in production and end user compute as well. Version 11, always had to pay, always will have to pay, and 17, 21 and 25, as we've said, is update 13 and above. So depending on how much Java you've got out there, it's quite hard to understand exactly what you've got and what rules are applying, and this is what Oracle's playing on. Just to show you quickly version 8, because this is where all the models started, and you may find that a lot of your stuff is on there. Exactly the same principle where they started it free of charge, and then at update 211 they moved it to OTN. So the only difference really is version 17, 21 will change at update 13 and above, whereas Java version 8 changed at update 211. Okay, internal and external audit defense strategies. So 2018, it's been a game plan for Oracle where we'll start you off free and then we'll hopefully get some money off you. So that's why they brought the OTN licensing in. As we said, 2021 introduced no fees, free use, but there was some set criteria. Then they've brought in the universal subscription, which has now meant that some customers could pay up to 15 times what they would have done under the old SE model. So anybody who is under the Java SE subscription, i.e. had licenses paid for prior to January 2023, it's all about making sure you can stay on there, but you need to verify your requirements so you can prove to Oracle. 2023, Oracle are enforcing the employee license model where customers do not have where they do not have anything. And we're also seeing now they're trying to enforce it through onto the older model because you can't prove. And what I have heard is they want to try and get everybody off the old model before the end of next year. 2024, Oracle shifts more Java software to OTN, so this is where some of version 17 is coming in, and then every 2 years there'll be more and more versions coming in, which will be potentially going to mean you're payable. So managing the licenses now, it's going to get harder, and you need to be more proactive if you don't want to pay Oracle as time moves forward. As I said earlier, the SE universal subscription can be 15 times more. And that's just purely because of the amount of employees people have got. And this isn't just internal staff. It also includes external contractors, agency staff, you name it. So how can you proactively protect yourself? Internally audit your Java deployments. Use a verified third-party tool, which of course Certero is one of them. And the reason I say that is you can trust the data, and you know that if ever you were to be audited by Oracle, that data can actually be provided, and they won't be running scripts or anything else and getting information that you're not aware of. Understand where your OTN licensed software is used in a non-development environment. So this is production, DR, end user compute devices. A lot of customers today don't even know what versions they're running and where. And under audit terms, this is what could easily catch someone out. You know, do you use a standard image? I've seen this on a few customers where they just roll out, you know, a new image on a laptop or a server, and it has Java installed. So I'd suggest you control the installation of Java. Once you know what you've got, then you can consider migrating, you know, from from OTN to NFTC licensed. But remember, every 2 years you'd have to do an upgrade, or people have been going to OpenJDK. The problem with OpenJDK is you may not get the support you require, and you need to look at the regularity conditions your business may have to work to, and some of them, like the FCA, will depict that you must have the latest version or the latest version minus X, and it must be maintained. Understand your potential costs for both models. If we do an effective license position for customers, we give both models because it helps commercially to have a sensible conversation with Oracle. What they want you to do is not know what you've got, and therefore you can't fight the figures they put on the table. Understand your options and create a strategy to minimize the risks. Okay, and again, use verified data for the implementation strategy. And now, as you start to consider moving away from 17 to 21, remember this may happen every 2 years, so the same strategy needs to continue. It's not just a one-off strategy. I'd recommend you do verified, you analyze the data on a monthly basis. You can see what's going up, what's coming down. Has somebody been downloading stuff from Oracle? How many updates have been done? And it's really looking at what forensic information are you leaving with Oracle so that they can actually use that against you. How can we help you? We are a verified tool vendor, so end of the day, our data is trusted. Our products proactively detect all the Oracle products using agent and agentless technology, simplified dashboards. We don't just produce data for Oracle, we do all the work internally to protect customers as well. Okay, but please bear in mind that where you are not paying Oracle because you're on the older versions, as I said earlier, you actually got security risks. So part of the work we do is to make sure you understand any security risks rather than just being what do you pay Oracle. So just to sort of finish off, as we're coming towards a half hour, this slide just sort of talks about the new model and the implications of it. So the wording you see in the first 2 paragraphs, this is exactly what Oracle have put in the price list. And for the ones of you who are used to Oracle, they'll have the PDF online, and overnight it changed and the existing one just disappeared. So this is the way they use it now. And I've put an illustration at the bottom about how much this could cost companies based upon employees. So at the end of the day, 3,000 employees, it could cost circa £310,000. But bearing in mind that under audit, Oracle could look back and go, and actually you've been using this for the last 3 years. So that figure is more moving forward rather than looking at anything that goes backwards. And we have heard of customers who have had sort of quite heavy figures being put on the tables by Oracle. Okay, so you know, 20,000 employees, it can be a lot of money. So this is where you got to really look and go, who is using Chargeable, especially if you've just got 1 or 2 machines that forensically are giving Oracle that ammunition to prove that you're using it, and you don't particularly want them walking in the way we've seen them doing it. Okay, so I hope you found that informative. There will be copies of the slides sent out as well. What I'll do is open up the floor now for any questions, and I'll try and give some answers where I can do. If needs be, I may need to take questions away, and if you do have any specific questions that you want to talk about privately, then by all means drop us an email, and we'll obviously have questions to you. So Scott, do we have any questions?
Hi Paul, there's no questions in the chat at the moment. We'll just give it a couple of minutes to see if anybody raises anything.
Hopefully I've not scared everybody.
No. That's fine. Well, as you said, we will be following up the session. We'll send out an email of a recording of the webinar if anybody wants to revisit it as well.
Okay, so thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending, and have a good day, and I hopefully speak to you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you.